What's going on YouTube? So of course, having off-road variants of popular SUVs has been a very popular concept over the last few years. However, just because an SUV looks tough doesn't mean it actually is tough. That's something Ford is correcting with this new Ford Explorer Tremor. This is a 2026 model, and they're for the very first time bringing that badge to this Explorer because it's backed up with some legitimate capability. So let's go ahead and take a first look at this new product. Now, just like with the Expedition model, Ford used to have a Timberline version of the Explorer. That added just a little bit of capability, but now they have upgraded this to the full-blown Tremor and certainly upgraded the capability as well. Now, before we start touching on those details, let's talk about our design here. As you can see, there's going to be some special touches that both connect to the rest of the Tremor lineup with other Fords, as well as make it look tougher. So the grille is going to be a matte finish. It's very upright looking. You have black Explorer badging across the top there, and then you've got those signature orange accents. Those are going to go through the grille as well as down here with our special recovery hooks. Now that I'm squatted down here, this is a great time to point out this has 8.7 inches of ground clearance. That's going to be about an inch more than the other versions of the Explorer, and we also have skid plates for protection. If you go off-road and hit a rock or something like that, you're going to be protected in your main components. As far as lighting is concerned, we have reflector LEDs. You got your daytime running light across the top there, and then as you'd expect, we also have fog lights down here. Now moving on to the wheels, we've got an 18-inch alloy. This has a gloss black finish. Again, you've got that signature orange accent right through there like the other Tremor models. And then of course, what's more important is what they're wrapped in. We have 31.5-inch all-terrain tires. So these are Bridgestone Dueler all-terrain tires. Going to be able to give you more grip and of course more off-road capability and confidence when you're on a trail. Just a little bit of cladding, not overdone or anything like that. Gloss black finish up here on our mirrors. This is going to be a higher end trim level, so you're going to get some nice features, and of course you have blind spot monitoring and heating.
Now at the side of the Explorer, you can expect an overall vehicle length of 198.7 inches, just like any other Explorer product. And as far as some of the design touches, you have the blacked out window surrounds, and we're going to have raised roof rails, which of course are useful for attachments like these crossbars that can, have things like your bicycle on the roof. I love how Ford demonstrated that. Now, as far as the rear design is concerned, it's going to be some slight tweaks. Of course, this is a product that just got refreshed last year, and for the Tremor, it's just going to kind of beef up the overall design and give you those special design touches. So we have a spoiler up top, we have a window wiper right through here, Explorer branding through the center section. It's going to have a nice blacked out finish here, and then we of course have our new LED taillights that was added for the 2025 model. They're going to be a full LED setup, including your turn signal, your reverse light, and all of your brake light components. Right prominently in the tailgate itself is the Tremor branding. It's a really cool color. Pops against, by the way, this exterior color is called Marsh Gray. It looks really fantastic. And then as we drop down to the lower fascia, this is completely revised for the Tremor. So you'll notice we have a mixture of silver, matte black, and more of that orange accenting. You also notice a tow hitch. This vehicle can tow about 5,000 pounds, and it will also be available in the V6 configuration. Now, an Explorer is a family vehicle, so let's talk about the safety systems. Ford is including all of your active safety features as standard equipment, and new for the 2026 Explorer lineup. This actually goes for all the trim levels, not just the Tremor. You're going to have Blue Cruise 1.5. That means that you're going to have the most advanced version of their hands-free highway driving system, and that's going to even allow for auto lane change. That's definitely a step forward that's going to bring it closer to what Cadillac is offering with Super Cruise. But guys, there's a special interior as well, so let's dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Let's take a first look at the interior of this new model as well. Here's our key fob, as you'd expect, typical Ford key fob, smart entry, remote start. Sensor behind the door handle there to unlock as well. And then welcome inside of the first Ford Explorer Tremor. As you can see, of course, it's going to keep a lot of those elements from the refreshed model. This was just recently updated with a brand new interior, a lot of new technology, things like that. When we're taking a look, first of all, at our seats here, you'll notice that we've got a suede insert that's going to run down the center section. You're going to have that signature orange stitch, as well as your Tremor branding right through there, and then the leather is going to line the outside edge. Probably black will be the only option, since that's how they typically do it in the Tremor lineup, but there could be other color options. We're not sure at this point. As far as the seat controls, you have 10 ways of power adjustment with 2-way lumbar support. And let's go ahead and climb on inside. And before I forget, Ford did say that you have the availability of getting their multi-contour massaging seats here on the Tremor. So there's going to be some option packages that you can add to this model. Nevertheless, let's look at the materials here. We've got our leather padded armrest with the orange stitching detail. More of that through the center section. Soft touch plastic along the top. Same will go for the upper dashboard. And then, like all of the Explorers, you've got that sound bar design that runs through the center section for the Bang & Olufsen sound system. The 14 speaker is available, by the way, on this Tremor. More of the leather through there, and big thick padding down here along the console. Now we're actually outside, unlike, a usual unveil, which is pretty cool, so we can fire up the engine. And now that she's all fired up, let's run through some features that we have on board. We'll start with our gauge cluster. As you can see, typical Ford gauge cluster, full digital, so this is 12.3 inches. You can reconfigure it with a few different designs. Obviously, this will have off-road views as well. No head-up display on this trim level, but we've got the really nice flat bottom steering wheel, thick rim. I like the stitching detail. It really is very similar to the ST. The ST is like the performance on-road. The Tremor is the performance off-road trim. And the wheel itself is manual tilt and telescoping. Interior storage, it's going to remain the same from the other trims, so a generous size center console, more storage right there. Big old pit where you can stick a lot of different things, and then you've got this nice shelf system, so you can kind of toss your phone up there. The shifter is pretty small and compact. Twist over to D for drive, R for reverse, of course. Here's our 360 camera. As you can see, you've got a few different views that you can choose between. And since it is a Tremor, you can activate this off-road, and that will give you the ability to use it as an off-road camera as well. Right through here, we've got our row of buttons. I already mentioned that this has the available 14-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system. So in other Explorer models that we've sampled that out, it's quite impressive for this segment of vehicle. 3-zone climate control. It's adjusted right here in the touch screen. Additional functions are right there inside of that pop-up menu. And this is your 13.2-inch touchscreen. It's Ford's new digital interface. Definitely a nice and responsive system. This will have things like wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. As you can see, we have some additional off-road functions inside of this. Although this is an early prototype, so some things are subject to change. Up top, we've got the manual dimming mirror. And this particular model does not have a sunroof. It might be available, but we don't know at this point.
Now let's quickly dive into the rear seat area as well. Now before we get any further, I do want to point out a lot of these interior elements are the same as other Explorers, and we've reviewed quite a lot of them on the channel. So if you want to know all the nitty-gritty details, the knee room figures, the cargo measurements, all that stuff, you can find that on our channel. We are on a very limited time frame today, so we're just going to have to talk about what we're seeing here with this new Explorer Tremor. Now, I do want to point out we have really good legroom and headroom figures. That will remain the same for this Tremor model. 38 inches of both legroom and 38 inches of headroom. Those are quite good. As I said, I'm 5'9" for reference, and the seat can slide slide forward and back a good distance, and recline. Now you will notice that this trim level has the captain's chairs. That means overall seating capacity is 6 passengers as tested today. I imagine a bench seat might be available, but it may not be available on this specific trim level, so keep that in mind. I do like that we have the Tremor branding, the same Alcantara finish. Then as far as features are concerned, we have our own climate controls, like Drew mentioned earlier. We also have heated back seats. That's quite nice. 2 USB-C ports and a household outlet. If we drop this down, we have 2 additional cup holders. Now over at the door trim, there's not any sunshades or anything like that, but the overall door trim is nicely finished with a lot of leatherette. We also have some door storage and a cup holder. Let's go ahead and check out the third row quickly. In order to get back here, you just grab that little lever there. That's going to tilt the seat and slide it out of the way, although it does move the back, so keep that in mind. And sitting back here in the third row, we spent some time in previous Explorers. It's going to be a pretty good third row. About 32 inches of legroom is what you can expect. The headroom is actually quite good. I'm 5'9". However, the legroom, not going to have any extra with the seat slid all the way back. And my feet can slide up underneath of the seat, but the thigh support is not what I would call fantastic. There are some options in the segment that are a little bit bigger than this and a little bit more comfortable, but overall, not bad. There are 2 seats back here, and as far as features, you have 2 USB-C ports, a little storage cubby, and you have vents coming out of the ceiling. I do want to point out the USB ports are actually only on that right side, so keep that in mind. As far as how it ranks on our third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is fit for the in-laws. Now walking up to the tailgate, of course, we're going to have a power tailgate with the kickability. And let's talk about the overall cargo space. So behind the third row of seats, you can expect about 16 cubic feet of space, 46 cubic feet if you fold those down, and has a maximum around 85 cubic feet of space. So those are quite good figures for this segment. As far as folding the third row, I am noticing we don't have the power fold. You have to move up the trim structure to get that. It's quite easy though. You just pull this little lever. That is not a problem at all. And then in order to fold the second row, I would have to go up there and release it from the second row itself, so no buttons for that. A little disappointed by that. Then if we lift up the cargo floor, there's a little bit of extra space under here. And of course, a spare tire. This is an off-road vehicle, so sometimes accidents happen and you need that spare tire. And by the way, if you're curious as to how the Ford Explorer ranks against other 3-row midsize SUVs, we've looked at them all on this channel. So be sure to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. It's a highly competitive segment, and we've reviewed and ranked all of them on our website in different categories that might matter more or less to you, such as cargo space, interior technology, powertrain choices, etc., etc. You can find all that on our website, so I'd encourage you to make an informed buying decision by going there.
Of course, you're probably also wondering what is under the hood of this Explorer Tremor, and I've got some really good news, especially if you like a lot of horsepower and having a 6-cylinder, because you can indeed get Ford's 3-liter twin turbocharged V6 engine. That means 400 horsepower for you and 415 pound-feet of torque. So that by itself is a big distinguishing factor from a lot of the competition, which doesn't allow upgraded engines to be paired with any type of package similar to this. Now, this will still come standard with their 2.3-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. That's still making a healthy 300 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Now, we've also got a 10-speed automatic transmission. Obviously, you have a 4-wheel drive system, and we have a limited slip rear axle on board to help out with that overall capability. Now, obviously, this is just a first look. We are looking forward to taking this out on the road and off the road to test it out fully, but for today, this is all we're going to be able to do, is just take a look at the outside, inside, and talk about the performance.
Now let's talk pricing and availability. We unfortunately don't have the full 2026 Ford Explorer pricing, but I will just go ahead and quickly mention the 2025s for reference. They start around $39,000 for the active trim level. The Platinum goes up to around $52,000. The ST is $54,000 as a starting point. I'd expect, after spending some time with this model today, maybe around $50,000 as a starting point for this trim level, and I do expect there to be quite a few options that you can add as well if you want to really soup it out. And by the way, if you are looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, you can find that in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now, as far as availability is concerned, Ford hasn't really said much about that. However, it is a 2026 model year, so we are expecting this to become available in summer to late 2025. That is typically when the Ford models roll over, so we expect this Tremor to be hitting lots in just a few more months. And guys, we hope you enjoyed watching this first look review of the all-new 2026 Ford Explorer Tremor. If you did enjoy this video, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We do a lot of car reviews, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.